We have begun a podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Happening.
Welcome. Let's just get started. Hi guys. Welcome to the Sarah Normal Activity, the podcast. I'm Sarah. This is Nick. Introduce yourself, Nick.
Hi, I'm Nick. I'm the guest host for this. I'm very excited because I love me some spooky stuff.
Yeah, and this is the first episode. I'm not there's really no big hook. It's just scary and paranormal and paranormal adjacent and whatever it is that we want to talk about. So we have some fun things to talk about. I'm leisurely. I'm all scooped back here. I will get the setup fixed. That's okay.
No, you look great.
We're
You look
good.
great. You look comfy.
Yeah.
You got all those coats and clothes around you. It's great.
I really do. I really want to make this closet work as a recording studio because it is gigantic and it makes me feel safe.
Yeah.
So, So welcome everybody to the inaugural podcast, and welcome Nick Carrillo. And let's take a dive in. I want to. We have some fun topics to talk about. I'm going to. And for the people who are listening to this, like while you're driving, we've got some fun visuals that you're gonna miss out on, but check them out when you're at work, on the Sarah Normal Activity YouTube page. But yeah, we got some fun stuff. We got some fun stuff to talk about. The first thing I wanted to talk about was this came up like after we stopped, after we had a meeting like last week, and this article was in my inbox like the second we stopped talking, and I thought it was very funny that happened. Mm-hmm. That the scientists discovered a third state of existence beyond life and beyond death. So essentially zombism is a thing. Mm-hmm. It's like real. Yeah. Which is adorable. I thought that was interesting.
Well, it's interesting because there's always been kind of like states of zombieism that people have talked about. I mean, like it all spans from like the idea of it, with certain practices of people like them like waking up or the kind of like zombieism that like what The Last of Us taps on, like the fungus, which is like a real thing that happens in like bugs where they get taken over and they kind of have a zombie state. But this one's interesting because this is straight up just living tissue coming back to life.
Yeah, it is, or
dead tissue coming back to life.
Yeah, it's dead tissues that when you give them things. Mm-hmm. It just really, it has new function. So it's like it's a third thing. It's like a third. It's there's life, there's death, and then there's this other new third thing. This new fun third thing that we can play with now. Yeah. Which is just, I don't know. It's just that's really wild to me. And I also feel like I have felt that way.
Yeah.
A lot.
The third state, as they call it.
The third state.
Yeah.
The third state. The crazy thing though is about the Xenobots and stuff. Mm-hmm. So like you can get. So first of all, frogs you can turn cells from frogs into Xenobots, which is just science fiction. Obviously, that can't be real. But the minute I read that, all I could think of was Alex Jones just screaming about like. They're turning frogs gay!
Yeah, turning frogs gay.
There's undead gay frogs!
No, they're just bringing them back to life.
They're just bringing them back to life.
Yeah, the science of it's crazy, because just talking about, like, the dead frog organisms and the xenobots, and then they were talking about, like, what they can do with human lung tissue. And just how, like, I mean, in the end, it was like, oh, this could be used to bring back, like, certain cells, and you can use it to like maybe bring back like potentially bring back like animals and maybe at one point humans, but it's like I like how in the article they even mentioned like we don't want it to go like Reanimator. But there was like cool things of like how it can you can use it to create these kind of specimens and put them in people that eat away at certain like cavity stuff and too much mucus and stuff like and they kind of die after a while. So it's like it's interesting how they're like we can use this to create living things that go inside you, kill stuff, and then they just go away and die. But it's but
I mean, like that it's almost like anti-cancer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where
it doesn't keep growing. Like, it just eats and then goes away. Yeah.
Although, yeah, I did think about the kill switch, and I just thought, like, there's a built-in kill switch, and all I could think about was, like, Jurassic Park, where it's like, kill switch.
The
How kill
contingency
switch is your kill switch.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, the contingency plan. Yeah, the thing that Hammond didn't want to do because it would kill all of them. Yeah. There we go.
But that's Reanimator. That's all we had for that. But I don't know. I just thought that was really. I think it is really funny just to always think about like how, like, science fiction kind of predicts reality sometimes.
Yeah, I think a lot of that stuff, especially like in horror, I think they base it on a lot of like, well, we heard one thing and we're gonna extend. Like, I read an article, so it made me go into like what I could do with this, and this, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, now we're there. Like, we've gotten to that place of like, what this means. And like, I like how they talk about in the articles, like, but if we got to a place where we could fully reanimate people, would that be a good thing? Like, what would they be like? What, and they made the joke about referencing Reanimator when he brings back the people, like, they are all, it's very messed up. It just happens in zombies too. They get aggressive. Yeah.
And that is the first science fiction is Frankenstein.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And it's about, I mean, the poor monster is also like, not treated well, so he gets upset, which understandable. But that's why treat them well. If you're gonna bring him back to life, be nice to him.
Be nice to him. Yeah. And that is kind of like what we want the most, is to bring back the dead. Yeah.
But I don't know if that's a good idea. I don't
think it is.
I think you gotta just, like, that's what life is. It's doesn't last long, and that's why it matters. Yeah, let go.
Let go. Let go.
Let go.
Yeah. I think maybe bringing back like specific organs, maybe. I don't know. But then maybe that organ itself becomes its own like person.
Yeah. You've seen that stuff. There's also been stuff like that where they give somebody another body part, and it affects them because they have somebody else's like donor body part. But they could make new ones. I think that's a good idea. I think like regrowing stuff, which they talked about that, which is very important.
Yeah.
When somebody needs a new heart, new lungs, new kidneys, I think that would be fantastic. But what if there's something in there and it does something to you?
Yeah, there's just that one tiny thing. I came this close to donating bone marrow this year, and like I wanted to really bad, and also partially just a little bit because I wanted to like meet that person a year later and be like, so do you like horror movies now?
Do you like horror movies? Yeah.
Are you like super into bourbon?
Yeah. Do you have my tastes now?
Are you like me now? Do you hate people on stilts?
Is that a thing? Do you hate people on stilts?
I can't stand it. Terrifies me.
Oh, it terrifies.
It's just wrong.
Yeah.
Which leads me into this next thing, when like just like the almost, just the uncanny valley, like the almost people.
Yeah.
Creeps me out.
I get that. Yeah, because they shouldn't be that. Nobody should be that tall, and their proportions are wrong.
Yeah. So this is just like I'm just like, we're skipping right to the next thing. Because it brings me into this about like AI horror, and what are your thoughts like about like AI?
Well, I think AI can be used for a lot of good, and people have shown that it can. And if we want to go specifically into like horror movies or movies in general, like I remember they talked about how, I want to say it was Dune, but I may be mistaken, but there was stuff in a movie where like the person who was working on it used an AI software to make it a little easier for them, but they were still doing the work, and it was like, it didn't take anybody's job away. And I think that's always good. But like, I saw like some of the videos you sent where like it's that AI horror where it kind of does that weird, it changes. And I've seen videos online and on TikTok where people make weird little creepy, they just, you put in a prompt and it's like this spooky this, and it makes these images. And yeah, okay, if you're just messing around at home and you're doing that, but I don't think that should be in movies, because I think that's like even farther away from like practical effects. And I feel like a lot of movies now are trying to be like, hey, CGI is cool, we can use it to clean up stuff, but like nothing's gonna be quite as cool as if you can have a really good practical effect. And I feel like too much AI could really ruin and dilute all that.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like there are certain, like I've used ChatGPT here and there for like work things, and it absolutely is like I think a valuable tool here and there. I don't like for people using it for like instead of hiring a voice actor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no, don't do that. That's awful. Yeah. That's awful. Instead of hiring artists, just put it into Midjourney and see what happens. Like, I understand it, but I do have like arguments against it. Mm-hmm. But then I feel there's something for me about horror that I feel like it can be its own thing. You know, I feel like AI horror can be almost its own genre. You know,
I could see that.
I've seen some that is so scary.
Yeah.
Not that a designer can't create something that's so scary, but it's like, I don't know. I just think it can be its own thing. And you know, again, like an artist, it's like, can an artist, you know, own that?
Yeah.
Can an artist then put their name on it?
That's the thing that I think where we get, because I agree, because I've seen some, and that's because I agree with you, and I think because what you're getting to is that because it has that weird, like, some of it is like uncanny valley weirdness, it works so well when it's like, yeah, here's a weird thing that I made and it looks so messed up, and it's like, oh, that's perfect because it's horror and you've created something that this machine generated that was so weird. Mm-hmm. And I've seen like little prompts and videos, and I agree, like, you're like, oh, that is creepy, and they'll even put a story to it. But I think it's one of those things, like, you want to know that somebody's like, yeah, can an artist put their stamp on it, because like technically it's generating it from other art and taking stuff and making its own thing. Yeah, like that looks terrifying, and it's really cool, and it's neat how it looks. But like, if it's taking jobs away from people, then you're kind of like, but if it's helping, like if somebody's going, hey, I'm gonna take something I created and I'm gonna put it in there to generate it to kind of like, but it's my thing and it's my job, mm-hmm. and I'm getting paid for it. I think cool, make something weird and see what you can get out of it.
Yeah, and I also just think it is just like its own thing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because like, look, just looking at it,
yeah,
AI itself is its own, I think, like aesthetic.
Yeah, weirdly,
and it's just so like I genuinely do think it's fun. Like I do think that there is a place for it in horror. I think it could be its own thing, but I definitely don't see it like replacing. There's one I have to show you that is, look at this guy.
That's crazy.
Look at the milkman.
I know, right? I was like, is he a milkman? He's just floating on. And those like, other guys are like, hey, good job, buddy.
It's like Jeff Daniels.
It does look like Jeff Daniels. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, is that Jeff Daniels? No, that's creepy.
Wait, and I have one more that I got to show you. Hold on.
Yeah, because some of these that you do watch, and it's like, oh yeah, the unsettlingness of it works for something like this. Oh, wait, did I see?
Have you seen this?
I think I saw a little bit of it.
This is like hard for me to watch.
Oh, watching like this
like it's and again, if you're driving
and you saw
this
that
right now,
yeah.
I apologize, but what I cannot describe what you're looking at animals that are trading their faces and their asses and walking down a suburban street. Yeah.
That's can you yeah, that's the thing, is if you saw that. See, but it's kind of like some of that looks like The Thing, and it looks like effects from like The Thing, but I mean, that's why it's like, maybe if you use this for like practical and add it on, and they were like, we're going to add on to these effects for stuff like that. Oh, that looks, that became a giant man. Did you?
Yeah, okay. I gotta stop.
Oh wow, that was. That's the thing. Is like, if you see, and it looks so real. That's the thing. Is it looks like this is just something that's like happening. That's also the scary thing about AI in general. Is just like how much, again, like deep fake, how it can make it look. But did you?
I gotta stop.
Did you get freaked out? Did you see the movie Late Night with the Devil?
I did.
So did you hear about how it used a little bit of AI?
No.
So it wasn't like anything major. Do you know, every now and then when it would flash like we'll be right back after our sponsors, little card, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like it had an owl, and then they had one with a skeleton, be like, hey, technical difficulties. Those images were AI generated.
Oh, okay.
And there was a kind of an uproar because the movie because it came out this year, last year. I can never. Early this year, I want to say.
It was early this year, yeah.
But it was like filmed last year, and it was filmed right around, like right before the strikes happened, and with the whole like debate of the AI, and they kind of did it beforehand because they were like, we're low budget, we need to get this out quick, and then I think it even got paused because of the strikes, and then it came out. And it has those little pictures that were just like somebody was like, I just need something real quick. I'm just going to type in a prompt. Here we go. This is it. And people were upset going, hey, you used that and you didn't hire somebody. And some people were like, it was before the strikes. They didn't really realize that people were going to be upset. At the time, it was kind of like just a tool. Yeah. But then the creators came out and they weren't like very like, oh, we're sorry. You're right. They were kind of like, we did what we had to do. Deal with it, which people weren't too happy with. But so there was some people boycotted the movie. That's an interesting kind of aspect of like in horror when it was such a small, like what you were seeing were incredible effects. What we were watching, and this was just like 2 or 3 slides that they showed of just a quick like 3-second thing, and that brought up a debate with even that. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I feel as long as you call it out, where it's just like, oh, and for the monster we used AI, and then and then for the practical effects it was Tom Salvini. Like it's like as long as you say it, maybe I think it's okay. But whatever. I don't know. I don't think we should be putting like, I don't think you can put people out of like good horror artists like out of work.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do think that it is like looking at it, it's its own genre almost. So I think it has its value. I kind of want to keep seeing more. But,
people
but
are
also at the same time, like if artists are mad about it, like I will stand behind obviously I'm just standing behind the artist before I stand behind the machines.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with that.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But I do have like a whole saved file in my like Instagram, the Paranormal Activity on Instagram, of just like AI horror. It scares the crap out of me. It's so creepy. It's so extra double creepy.
Have you seen? You should look. There's videos on TikTok too where people like put in the prompts and it'll show it's like almost like it's like a moving picture, and the people are kind of moving. Some of it was like that, but it's more of like it's instead of like a video, how those were. It's like a moving picture, and then it'll show another thing, and it kind of it moves, and it kind of like they'll put little like. I don't know if they had the script generated or if people were like, I'm going to put in a prompt and write my own little thing. But there are some interesting stuff on there that people just put out on TikTok. And I'm like, well, you're just putting on whatever. I don't know. As long as you're not exploiting anybody, then go for it. It's cool. Yeah. It looks scary.
Yeah. As long as people aren't being exploited, I think that's okay. And it's its own thing. And I just love backrooms. Like, there was... we don't have to go back and look at it, but there was one that was just like an endless like hospital corridors of back rooms, and it's so scary.
That's spooky.
I love being scared.
Those are my dreams. Yeah. It's the stuff. That's the stuff I see when I sleep.
I just went into the other tab and it was still going. Okay, let's talk about books. What do you think about books?
I love books.
I have a slide board that doesn't say anything.
I love books.
So what good I have, my admission is that I am halfway through 5 really, really good books right now.
You're reading 5 at the same time?
I mean, it's like I'll start one and I'll get halfway through it, and then I'll like pick another one up and get halfway through it, and then I'll like buy it. And I'm just very bad about like finishing books. But I'm like I'm very, very close to finishing one, and I'm very into this next one, so I will eventually like knock them out.
What are you reading?
So right now I have Paul Tremblay horror movie, which I really like. I'm probably going to finish that pretty soon. I got that a while ago. I just put it down because this summer I just like haven't read a ton, but it's I really like do you know Paul Tremblay at all?
Yeah, I've only read Knock at the Cabin Door, Knock at the that one.
That's the first I've read of him, and I really like that. I've read also Head Full of Ghosts
That's
and
good.
Pallbearers Club are both very, very good. Yeah, I really like his writing. He's very it's very like the characters are very relatable, and it's um the I don't know, there's the horror and is like the supernatural is like there's like a touch of supernatural, but it's I don't know.
It's more grounded. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little, like a touch more grounded. But this one, yeah, it's like it's the supernatural is kind of like unwind. It's like he's unwinding the supernatural a little bit more and more with horror movies about a movie like a bunch of teenagers sort of make this. They start making this a horror movie, in their hometown, like in this old burnt out school, and it never gets made, and it's like you kind of don't know as the book goes on, and it's like 40 years or whatever 20 years later, and it becomes like this cult classic that it never gets made, it never gets released, but like people know about it, and everyone keeps like Hollywood keeps trying to like remake this movie, trying to like make the horror movie and it's this crazy like cult classic cool thing, and it's like about like the thin kid, and so it's from the perspective of the guy who played the thin kid, and it is very weird and cool, and a lot of it is written like as a script.
Oh, cool.
So
all right,
it's very cool. Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
I'll check that one out. What's the other one you're reading?
The other one is called How to Sell a Haunted House.
Yeah, Grady Hendrix.
Yay!
Love his work. This
is my first. This is my first of his.
And I like that one a lot. I think it's really good. I've read like just about everything he's put out. But that one's fun. That one's a lot. The ones that I loved was I never say the name right. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. That one and his like early ones, which were like my best friend's Exorcism and Horror Store, are incredible. They made a movie on Prime of my best friend's Exorcism, and it was not good. It did not live up to it. But it's just that one's just a great. It takes place in the 80s, and it's like two friends, and one of them gets possessed. But like, what's really cool about it is for most of the book, the other friend isn't like, you're possessed. She's like, I don't know why you're acting this way, and it's really about the relationship between these two girls, like in high school, and how they start to like fall apart. It's because of the possession, but it's like how strong can their relationship be, and it's more about like friendship, but it still like has a lot of horror. And Horror Store is about somebody like they made an American IKEA, and this woman works there, and it's just about like being trapped at work because eventually they're like, hey, I think somebody is coming in, and like some like unhoused person is coming in and messing everything up, so like a couple of us are gonna stay late and see who's breaking in, and it turns out it's like it was built on this well, I don't want to give too much away, but there's ghosts. It's haunted. It's a haunted IKEA. That's the best way to put it. And then
that one's next. I'm into that.
That one's great. Horror Store's so much fun, and the cover of it is so great because they make it look like an IKEA catalog. It's just like
I love it. Yeah.
Because he has like a little bit of humor in his stuff, and then the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires is incredible. It takes place in the 90s. It's about this woman who gets in this guy. It's got very like Fright Night vibes to it. But I loved that one, and his stuff it's just delightful. I love Grady Hendrix. He's got a new one coming out next year.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I follow him on Twitter, but I haven't this is the first. This is the first book I've read of his, and I'm like eating it up. It's good.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say one of the best horror books that I read in the last couple of years was I really like Nick Cutter. Nick Cutter's really good, and I cannot recommend The Troop enough.
The Troop.
Yeah, that book blew me away. I read it, and afterwards I was like, that was insane. It's got body horror. It's dealing with it's like what the way that's good about the book is the way that they write it is that you're reading and you're reading and listening to these like kids who are in a very terrible situation that don't know what's going on, but in between the chapters they give you information about what is happening, so you're getting it and you're understanding it, but you know that these kids have no idea, and it's so insanely scary and like could be real and gross, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard of that. Okay, cool. So that's 6 and 7.
Yeah. Get more of them. Get more of them.
Yeah,
I can't.
yeah.
But I read like I have one main one that I'll read, and then I maybe have something that I read at home. I have so many books though. I just started Slewfoot by Brom,
Mm-hmm.
which is like a witchy book. I just started that one. That one's fun, and I I have, and I got House of Leaves, which I haven't started yet, but I want to tackle. Have you heard about that book?
I've tried House of Leaves so many times, and I gotta just like, I have to just like really just make myself, because it's actually kind of physically hard to read.
Yeah, no, I know. I got it, and I literally just got it a little while ago, and I wanna be like, okay, I'm gonna tackle this. I'm gonna do it. But I know I've heard from a lot of friends who've told me they're like, I didn't finish it, or I tried it, and I know it's like, it's insane.
Because I read it like on like train, like you can't really read it on the train.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really like read it. But because it's just physically like
Mm-hmm.
you have to, it's kind of heavy and you have to kind of like read margins and stuff. So, but I've gotten through the first like third of it a couple times.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that I know I'm going to enjoy, and I love the concept of it, and I know that I'm going to like it. So I need to push myself through it and read it and just read it. Did you hear there was like a big thing? A friend of mine wrote to me because his wife works at Penguin Publishing, and there was a big bump in sales for House of Leaves because someone made like I'm going to say it wrong. Do you know what I'm talking about? There was like I think it's like, is it Doom, where people can like make their own like settings?
Oh. No, I don't know. Never mind. I thought something else.
There's a video game. I'm so sorry.
Oh, Doom, the video game?
Yeah, so people can make like their own like mods of Doom, and somebody made a House of Leaves like Doom mod.
Wow, really? Oh, that's so niche. That was
which
something.
Is super badass.
That's crazy.
And like somebody played it on like there was like one person made it and made a YouTube video out of it, and it got so many hits that physically, like after 20 years, the publisher noticed like a significant bump in sales of the book.
Oh, well, that's the thing is I recently saw a lot of stuff about it. That's why I was like, what is that? I had never heard about it before.
Yeah.
And that's why I got it recently. But I think that's so funny. I love when something so random, like somebody playing Doom was like, I'm going to make a House of Leaves one, put it on, sparked so much, and then everybody, that's because it's such a specific thing, like Doom and House of Leaves. That's crazy.
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
What if it gets out there? Gets out there.
The sweetest.
Nice.
Cool. So let's talk about two movies, and then we'll gently wrap it. Then we'll gently pet a tiny cat.
Pet that cat. Yeah.
I've not seen a lot. I have not seen a lot of good horror movies lately. The only one that I'm really kind of like pushing people to see is The First Omen, which is kind of an older movie, but I saw it recently, and I'm just blown away by it still. I keep thinking about it.
The movie that's called The First Omen, not
the original
Omen.
The First Omen. Just because that is like tons of body horror, but also just like very female empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
And
it was great. I loved it.
Yeah, and brutal at parts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I tried to rewatch like the first Omen, the original Omen, and I was like, this doesn't hold up for me. I'm not, I was like, I'll give it this one.
Yeah. It's hard to do something like that too with a prequel. I remember when I saw it in theaters, and I was like, the only thing I wasn't jazzed about the film was that I was like, the twist, which I was like, is that a twist? Because I figured that was gonna be the thing at the end the whole time, and they made it seem like that was supposed to be a twist, which I was like, it's not really. But the way, like, it's well done, it's scary, and the shots were so, like, I could tell, like, and I kind of think they said this, I kept watching it, and Suspiria, the original one, is my favorite horror film, and I felt like there were elements of that, and then I read somewhere that when I was watching it, I was like, I feel like there's elements of this in there, and when I read something that they were like, oh yeah, that's on purpose, I was like, okay, that's what I figured.
Yeah. Yeah, that like the part like when she goes dancing,
yeah.
that, I mean,
When she wakes up on the bed and her hair's all like, I was like, that's such a beautiful shot of
yeah,
everything. And yeah, just like, and that's a hard thing to do. A prequel of something you kind of know how it's going to turn out, but it was still, yeah, it was solid. Did you see
yeah.
Immaculate?
Not yet.
Because it came out right before it, and it kind of had a similar vibe of like a nun who is impregnated with this, but they go a different route. But I like that one too. I thought it was really good. The ending scene is in bonkers, which is insane. It's bonkers, but I like that one too.
Yeah, I do like religious horror. For some reason, religion is, I don't know,
It's
a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see The Substance?
No, that's the one that I have to see, that I've been told to see
So
specifically.
good. It's so good, and it's body horror, which is my favorite genre, or one of my favorite genres, but top two definitely. And it's true. Like it felt very like early Cronenberg, and it even felt a little bit like Aronofsky, like Darren Aronofsky, like Requiem for a Dream, like some of the shots and some of and the message is real in your face, but it's like it's so incredibly done. Demi Moore is amazing. Yeah. Margaret Qualley's incredible. Dennis Quaid's so freaky in it. It's great. It's intense and disgusting and wonderful. I loved it.
Yeah, I definitely have to catch that. Yeah. As sooner than later.
Yeah, and I think my other big one that I saw recently was Strange Darling. Strange Darling have you seen that one?
Yeah, I'm very bad at seeing them in the theater. Yeah. I kind of have to wait until they're streaming sometimes.
Yeah.
So, just because like my partner does not like horror movies, so I don't like to make him go to. And I'm like, let's watch a movie, and I've picked some movies that have just absolutely scarred him. So
yeah.
I gotta be really careful.
Can I tell you a story real quick?
Yeah.
So, because I understand that plight of like being a horror fan, and when you are in a relationship with somebody who is not, it's hard because you're like, I want to show you this movie, and I have to be like, what can I show you? And in college one time, I was dating this girl, and she was not really into horror films, but she would indulge me every now and then. And the remake of Hills Have Eyes, do you remember that one?
Yes.
The remake, yeah, the one, and it's very, very, very violent. And I was like, "Hey, can we go see this?" And she was like, "I don't know." And I was like, "I think it'll be fun." So she was like, "All right, let's see it." So we watch it, and there's a scene where a person unalives themselves with a gun, and their head explodes. And she kind of started crying. And after the film, I was like, "Hey, that was really intense for you. I'm so sorry. Like, I won't do that again." She was like, "Well, when I was a kid, I was on a bus to school, and there was a car accident, and there was like this wreckage, and I saw somebody, and it reminded me of that." And I was like, "Oh my goodness, I am so sorry that I brought up this trauma because I made you go see the Hills Have Eyes remake." I was like, "I will never make you see another. You will go see whatever you want to see." I'm so sorry. I didn't realize. Yeah. I had never heard this story. I didn't know this was a thing. Otherwise, I would have said, "We never go see a gory movie." Yeah. That was a lesson learned. So now I definitely don't push anybody to watch any horror movie. I'll recommend, and I've had friends be like, because I have like a friend that they're a couple, and my one friend doesn't like horror films, especially if they're jump scares, but I'll be like, "Oh, this is more of a thriller, you'll be fine." And then his partner, she'll be like, "I can watch horror films, but I don't like gore or zombies." And I'll be like, "This isn't gory, this has no zombies." And I'll tell people like, "I think you can watch this, I think you can watch this," but I'm much more aware of like not pushing people to watch something that.
Yeah. When you know somebody and you know what they can do. What's really funny is that I'm extraordinarily, as a person, very jumpy. Like if I'm sitting on the couch, when the ice maker just goes pop, and I'm like, what the fuck? But horror, I'm just like, let me get it more.
No, I don't care. I will jump, and I don't mind. My ex would make fun of me because she liked horror films, so we'd go see them all the time. But I jumped very easily. And I remember she'd make fun of me forever because we went to go see Toy Story 4. And there's a point where these puppet guys come out, and it was a surprise. So I jumped. And she was like, "Oh, you..." And I was like, "Yes," because I was shocked. And but the thing is I watch like a horror movie right before I go to bed. And I'm like, okay, sleep. I'll sleep fine. And people are like, "Are you?" Because I grew up watching horror films, but I still jump at things, and that's fine.
Yeah. I'm starting in my like later day, like as I'm maturing a bit more, I'm starting to get a little bit more sensitive to certain things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still want it, and I still crave it, and I'm still like, I want that I'm still chasing that like real good feeling. The movie that we watched that broke the camel's back was where evil lurks.
Oh, that one is insane.
Don't.
That is
not a first date flick.
That is not a casual horror watch. No, that is I went to go see that with a friend in the theaters, and there was one scene that, like, you know how sometimes you have a visceral reaction and you don't mean to, and it may be like a yell or a jump or or some people you nervously laugh. And there was one scene that's one of the very gruesome scenes, and I had this visceral reaction of like, I kind of nervously laughed because I was so shocked by it.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounded like I was laughing in the theater, and I turned to my friend, I was like, I'm not laughing, that was the wrong. He was like, yeah, that was a weird reaction to have to that. And I was like, I don't want people to think that I'm some weirdo that's enjoying it. I mean, I'm enjoying the movie, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was like, gore. I was just
like, please stand up and apologize to everyone.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, everyone. I'm not a creep. This affected me in a weird way that I wasn't expecting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie's insane though. Yeah.
Yeah. Rough one.
That's a hard one. Yeah. I know. Do you ever? What do you think is the most? I don't know. What's the scariest thing you've seen, I guess?
Like
I don't know. What's scary, or just what's one that really stayed with you? What's the one that like you think about and you're like, I don't even know if I could see it again, or if it's just like really.
Like the most scared I've ever been, like in a theater, like was probably Blair Witch Project.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that's the scariest movie, and I don't think that would hold up now, but that was like the most scared I've ever been in a theater.
Mm-hmm.
But I've watched like I would really have to think about it, like, because I have my favorite things, and then I have like things that are like scary.
Yeah.
I'm gonna think about it for next time.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
what's the scariest?
What's the scariest? Yeah.
We'll like make like a top 10 list.
Yeah, I like that. Dig it.
Yeah. What's the scariest thing you've ever seen?
I'd have to think about that too. I'm with you on like when I saw the first Paranormal Activity in theater. Yes. That really affected me, and when I like came home, I remember I literally like I was with my friend because he was dating my roommate, and we stayed up, and he was like, all right, I'm gonna go to bed now, and I was like, I'm gonna stay up until the sun comes up, and then I'm gonna go to bed. But like now I've seen the sequels and I've seen it again, and it something about it now I'm like, I don't care. Same thing happened to me with The Exorcist. When I watched as a kid, for the longest time I couldn't even see a picture of like Reagan like all, but I rewatched it a couple years ago and I was like, it's a great film. Yeah, but I was like,
it's good.
It's really good. Yeah. I was shocked at how much, like when I revisited it older, I was like, oh, this is fine. This is but there's some
well made.
It's very well made, very well done. Mm-hmm. But I was not as petrified. It didn't stick with me as much. I was able to go on with my life. But there's some movies that I also watch a lot of those, like kind of really. I love like French horror movies, and some of them are very intense. And I watched Megan is Missing one time late at night, and that was a mistake.
Yeah.
The directors come out and said, don't watch it at night, don't watch it by yourself.
Oh yeah, Megan is Missing is my computer might die soon, but the Megan is Missing, the like acting is terrible until the end, and then it's screaming.
It's just a lot. The whole movie at the end is just like, this is like, horrific. This is horrific. Yeah.
All right. So this was really fun. I really appreciate you doing this with me.
Thank you for having me. This is fantastic.
Yes. Thanks everybody so much for listening to us. And this is the Paranormal Activity. We are horror, and we'll see you all next week. Nick, is there anything you want to plug? You want to let anybody know where else they can see you?
You can check out my socials at Nick Carrillo 77 on Instagram and all that, and check out and listen to the Marvel podcast. You may hear me on it every now and then.
Amazing. And back here very soon, I hope.
Yes, absolutely. Please.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Good night.